Kia ora, Dr Huhana, lovely to speak to you today. So firstly, we'll start with the Euthanasia conference that was held in Auckland recently. What was it all about?
It was actually in response to Maryann Street's bill, who's coming in and saying that it's about time now that we legalised euthanasia. My part of it was to look at the legal aspects and Māori aspects. Russell Vickery talked about it from a disability perspective. Alex Schnackenberg was the guest speaker from Canada, and John Kleinsman was part of a Catholic organisation that's fighting euthanasia. So it was basically in response to those who are saying this is a good thing and it's about time. We were saying, well, hang on a minute, where are the protections in place for the vulnerable populations that may not be wanting euthanasia?
What's the link between euthanasia and your own life?
Well, I've got a condition that called primary progressive MS, multiple sclerosis, and it's a painful condition. I live with pain 24/7. It's one where I would eventually qualify to euthanize if I was in a very bad depressive state and chose at that point. And we do live with depression at times. And when you're with depression, you're vulnerable because you can't see a light, you can't see a way out. But I've been through those depressions and I've managed to find my way out. And there's no way I want to be euthanized later on. But I'm one that would qualify under, severely, impacted with pain.
For New Zealanders that aren't aware of the laws, what are the laws about euthanasia in New Zealand?
Well, in the Crimes Act, there is provision for assisted suicide, and there is a criminal proceedings. And if you're found guilty, you can get jail up to a certain amount of years. But law cases have shown that very few have ever received more than 2 years or even suspended sentences. I mean, there's a lot of sympathy for the people who actually do the euthanasia, but nobody actually looks at the life that they've killed. There's people who purport to be doing what they think is in the best interest. I mean, Smale, who killed his best friend who was tetraplegic, a Paralympian, he stabbed him in the neck, the one place the guy could feel, multiple times, and he said he did it out of compassion for his friend. He did it because he was drunk and he was in a frustrated state over being his caregiver, and that's why he did it. There's other cases like parents who've killed their autistic teenage children because they're out of control and they haven't got the supports they need, and so they kill them, and they've received very, very low sentences. So, I mean, there are disabled people that are killed and given this assisted suicide crime that they have to face, and that's the difficulty we have. It's not just people who are terminally ill like the mother or the grandmother and they've asked someone to kill them. It actually goes beyond that. It's actually people who are not dying, who are young, who are vibrant, who can be vibrant, who are not given the chance to be because society deems them with less value.
Going back to talking about the Euthanasia conference and link of euthanasia to your own life, how has it affected your personal life?
Well, I feel very worried for, not myself as such, because as long as I've got a voice, I know that my condition will progress. I don't know what it will progress to, but I know it will progress. And I don't know whether I will lose the right to speak, the ability to feed myself, all of that. It's on the cards. But I believe that I still have something to offer, and that's my brain. You know, if we were to provide the disability community with the right supports, with dignity, with enough resources, very few of them would go into a depression about wanting to die when they've got everything they need to help them to live. That's the difference. But there are those out there who go through an early stage of disability, who go depressed, they want to kill themselves. We have to find a way of getting them through the therapy, and it's called grief therapy because they're grieving the loss of their limbs, they're grieving the loss of a full life, they're grieving the loss of other stuff, and they need to, go out there. So for me personally, I'm going to keep fighting because I'm not going to allow this country to fall into the same trap it's fallen in the Netherlands, where disabled people are being euthanized, where elderly women who've lost their husbands are being euthanized, all because of depression, and they fit the criteria.
So on a personal level, what could I do to better understand what it's like to live with the disability?
It's ironic that 1 in 3 Māori have a disability. 1 in 4 non-Māori have a disability, and yet we don't understand the community. It's easy enough to go out and meet with disability communities, engage with their workshops, engage with their meetings, find out that no two blinders are alike, no two hearing impaired are alike, no two physically disabled are alike, or learning impairment. We make an assumption, for instance, that people with intellectual disabilities can't get their driver's licence. Many of them have it now. And why? Because they're capable of achieving goals with support. They get the support, they can actually get their driver's licence, and they can drive quite safely because they're a lot more careful than some of our young people that go out there and drive. So, you know, they vote. Many of them marry now, many of them have families, yet we still have a thing in our society, NIMBY attitude, not in my backyard, or, you know, isolate us, keep us separated. And the sad thing is that if we're going to cluster state housing in one area and put a whole bunch of disabled in one area, society itself misses out on people in their community who can teach them and show them just what disability is about. We are just the same as you and me, except that we have to do things slightly differently.
Ngā mihi ki a koe, Dr Huhana. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us today.
You're welcome. Kia ora.